Has anyone seen Empire Dreams, the wonderful 2.5-hour doc on the Blu-ray set and the old DVD set? In it, there's a thread. One of the plots is how George Lucas became an independent artist. And I edited that down. It took me 3 edits to 5 minutes to tell that story. So let's watch that.
George was the kind of maverick from Northern California, an independent filmmaker.
I came up with no intention of actually becoming successful, but I did have a very strong feeling about being able to be in control of my work and not having people tamper with it.
He decided to take matters into his own hands and start his own company, Lucasfilm Limited.
My first film they didn't understand, and they meddled with it after it was all finished. Same thing with my second film. The corporate entity came in and jerry-rigged with it, cut 5 minutes out.
George Lucas's imagination was pointed at the stars. With only the first part of his Star Wars saga being made, Lucas also needed to think about the future. But his prior dealings with major studios had taught him to be cautious.
I knew that what I really had to do was to protect the unwritten part, the other 2 parts of the script. I was very careful to say, I don't want more money, I don't want more points, I don't want anything financial, but I do want the right to make these sequels. I was working on the assumption, as every filmmaker works on, which is the film will be a disaster and that it won't be promoted and it'll just die a horrible death. And it'll be very hard to get these next 2 movies made.
George said, like a big slice of the merchandising. Up until that time, merchandising had been relatively unknown.
When I took over the licensing, I simply said, I'm going to be able to make T-shirts, I'm going to be able to make posters, and I'm going to be able to sell this movie, even though the studio won't. So I managed to get control of pretty much everything that was left over that the studio didn't really care about.
George was enormously far-sighted, and the studio wasn't, because they didn't know that the world was changing. George did know the world was changing. I mean, he changed it.
Everybody's standing up and applauding. I've never seen this before in my life, and I'll never see it again.
In addition to industry acclaim, Star Wars earned more money than any movie in history. Lucas could finally call his own shots with the studios. When Fox approached him about doing the inevitable sequel, it was the moment the filmmaker had long been waiting for.
This was a perfect opportunity to become independent of the Hollywood system. I didn't mind releasing it through them, but it was really going to them for the money and them saying, well, I like the script, but I want to change, or the film is good, but we want to make these changes. That's the part I wanted to avoid.
But George was self-financing The Empire Strikes Back, but he was doing it through the bank, and we were talking about close to a $30 million film at the time.
With his earnings from Star Wars, Lucas was able to secure a bank loan for The Empire Strikes Back. Although most production challenges had been anticipated and expectations were understandably high, when Empire went over budget by $10 million, Lucasfilm suddenly found itself in a fiscal crisis.
3 of the top executives of Bank America Entertainment walked into my office saying, we have to pull your loan. And I said, how can the largest bank in the entertainment business, with the sequel to the most successful movie ever out, be wanting to pull my loan?
I was just hoping the bank to allow me to finish without going back to 20th Century Fox and giving away all my rights. Because that's ultimately what my other choice was to just simply let them own it and lose my independence. But I wanted my independence so badly. We managed to do it in a way that I paid them just a little bit more money, but they didn't get any of the licensing, and they didn't get any of the sequels, and that's what I was trying to hold on to.
When The Empire Strikes Back finally opened on May 21st, 1980, it didn't meet expectations, it surpassed them. By financing The Empire Strikes Back with his own money, George Lucas had bet the farm and won. The profits from the 2 Star Wars films also helped fuel Lucas's rapidly expanding business enterprises. The world's most successful independent filmmaker was fast becoming a law unto himself. As the sole owner of the most successful franchise in movie history, Lucas had gained the financial means and the creative freedom to produce anything he wanted.
He really established the independent film market. His films changed epic productions. He changed storytelling. He created what Hollywood is today.
I told you they'd do it. Now he is the studio. He can make exactly
the movie that he wants to make.
For George Lucas, what began as a quest for creative freedom became a philosophy, a cultural phenomenon, and an empire of dreams.
Is anyone inspired by what they just saw, or have they been inspired by Lucas? He used to say, come hell or high water, I'm gonna get my movie made. And would you like to come up and just for like 20 seconds, tell us what you find inspiring? That's the whole point of this panel, is to create an inspiring message about George Lucas to hopefully motivate other people to do their own thing.
I don't think I was going to do this. Yeah, please. No, what's your name? Curtis.
Let's give Curtis a clap.
Curtis. Just like 20 seconds. Tell us how this inspired you, or how you are inspired by Lucas.
I haven't seen that.
And what do you do?
I am a voice actor. Basically.
Voice actor, okay.
Yeah,
Great
so,
to meet you.
Yeah, I think it was kind of weird, but it's... Anyways, it's first time a newbie to FanExpo, but I mean...
Every day's kind of
I
weird.
will say that basically, actually having to see this basically inspired me because I...
Talk into the mic.
Sorry. Watching Empire Dreams again, I just recently watched the Lost documentary for The Empire Strikes Back that's still on YouTube. And it was made in 1980, and it shows you exactly how in the 80s how they did documentaries and how raw it is, and you don't get that now. And in filmmaking itself, basically, I mean, my acting teacher a long time ago, like 24 years ago, said to me, don't let anyone, not even yourself, stand in the way of your dreams. And when that's said to you, basically, and you realize it later on, it's like literally, it's like you get out of your own weight of your own ego to do what you really want to do and find all the tools necessary to do the great work you want to do. And if it means cutting people off that are saturating you and not supporting you and are not on that same level as you, because you're taught basically you're not supposed to reach for the sharks, you're supposed to reach for people, or work with people that are on your same level and build up and keep building up. And since we are in the 21st century now, I'm sorry, going over 20 seconds here. It's to me, I find that basically there's a saturation where it's the younger generations that are coming up and, you know, even looking at this, if they ever get around to seeing this, basically that most people are now like harking back for those type of times where basically, yes, you've got to have this this resurgence for new stuff and pushing for it. But I'm sorry, I'm probably not.
That's okay. It's we just have so much fast stuff planned for the 40 minutes.
Yeah. No worries.
Thank you, Curtis. It's great to meet you. Let's connect after.
Yeah.
Let's hear it for Curtis.
Okay, so next we're going to I'll show a little video that Kareem made, and I'm very envious of, because when you see it, this guy's cut like a beast. He'll then explain how George Lucas's DIY spirit influenced him in his own thing with his cosplay group, Order 416.
So it's a 10-second video, but it does a lot in 10 seconds. Wait. I gotta get rid of this nasty bar at the bottom. I don't like that bar. Okay. That's a good frame to Kareem. I just want to show one picture.
That's great.
That one echoes.
So my goal here was to recreate the comics
Speaking
panel.
to the mic more.
My goal was to recreate the comic panel. So it's a pretty obscure character. His name is Kirik Infala, and being a cosplayer with long hair and a beard, my choices are often limited. If I see a character that has long hair and a beard, I gravitate towards them, especially when they're this cool. So, a little bit about how George Lucas inspires my continuing artistic expression is some of the key words from that documentary we saw were that he felt like a maverick. He felt he needed to be independent so that he could keep creative control and creative freedom of his choices. And so I started cosplaying a long, long time ago in a galaxy right here. before Disney had made the purchase, so we're in that kind of quiet era of Star Wars. And it was hard to find Star Wars cosplayers to meet up with at the time. There's really only two groups, the Rebel Legion and the 501st, that are the official Lucasfilm approved groups. And being official has certain standards that come with it, certain controls that come with it. And I couldn't meet all those standards, so we were independent, my friends and I, Dan and Reno. They just started their own cosplay club called Order 416, 416 being the Toronto area code. So having less control and more freedom gave us the chance to just organize our own events, make our own little fan films, without any kind of oversight, without any kind of standards to meet. And with that independence comes our freedom of expression. So if we have messages that we need to send to the world, we're not muzzled by anything. So we have creative freedom and independence to have free reign over our expressions.
That's true. I mean, even any group like the 501st, I'm sure, would have its political correctness too. Not saying anything against the 501st. Of course, I love them. I'm just saying politics always come with any organization. You can't really express your views usually if they're against what your boss thinks. In a real world, you always feel those repercussions. So I did feel that as well in terms of people I was working with in music, where I felt I was really outspoken politically, because I am influenced by George Lucas, who always said the Emperor was Nixon. You had Newt Gunray in the prequels, who was Newt Gingrich. You had Halle Bertoni, which was Halliburton Company, Cheney's company. So yeah, I've always been an activist. I have a CV of things I've accomplished as an activist too, and I just really believe that Star Wars influenced me and a lot of people at a young age to be, even subconsciously, involved in trying to make the world more empathetic and caring place. So next up, has anyone seen Troops here? No? The fan film Troops? Okay, this is great. I'm so excited. I'm going to show you 1 minute of this fan film that came out in 1997 and used George Lucas's digital tech. And even George Lucas himself said he considers it canon. It's that good. It's really funny. But yeah, I'll give you 1 minute of that right now.
Bad boys, what you want, what you gonna do when Sheriff John Brown come for you? Tell me what you gonna do, what you gonna do? Yeah.
I joined the Empire about 6 years ago. I can remember as a kid, watching the holographic images and being excited about the new direction that the galaxy was taking. So when I was old enough, I went down to the local recruitment center, and signed up. And I've been here at Tatooine ever since. Most people would call this the ass end of space, but I like the small town feeling you get around here. I mean, we know everybody. Everybody. And I feel I can really make a difference here.
Yeah, I'd love to show more. I'd love to show more. I'm just going to read a quote from the director, and I strongly suggest checking out that full video on YouTube. It's hilarious. They have to intercede a neighborly feud between Baru and Owen Lars and some Jawas. And Kareem, do you remember, I love what you do with your cosplay group. Do you remember, we met at Celebration Orlando. Yeah.
Chicago?
No, it was Orlando. Chicago or whatever. And it was a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And you had your cosplay exhibitor space on the main floor, but you were doing yoga.
Yes.
And I had just started yoga like only months before, so I met you by just spontaneously joining your yoga class. And you bring a lot
of spontaneous fun and humanity to fandom. So thank you.
Thank you. It wasn't chance. It was the will of the force.
That's true. I just want to read a quote from Kevin Rubio. It works for singers. I'm told that Troops inspired a lot of people to make their own film, or sort of fan film. And for that, I'm happy to share in the thanks and blame for that. So this is really the first fan film that started the movement of fan films. And now we're going to quickly check out what I consider to be the biggest influence on George Lucas's DIY spirit was James Cameron. Even before Star Wars came out, he was making models with the dream of doing like a space fantasy. And when he saw Star Wars, he was like, I couldn't find the video, but I've seen it before in a Star Wars doc. He said, it's well documented, he quit his truck job and he's like, damn, someone beat me to it. And he convinced local dentists he raised $20,000 and he made his first short film. It's called Xenogenesis, and it even has the first loader, the person inside the loader machines with the arms that he uses in all his movies. So he did that himself on $20,000 in his own doing the stop motion. This is another short clip. Isn't that amazing? That for $20,000 and a dream and inspired by Lucas, he just made this short film that defined, if you watch the whole video, it's the themes of humanity and robots, and the loader pretty much defined his whole career. I actually believe that there's the only two hard things in being a real creator, and by real, I mean you start something and you finish it every day. That's what a real artist is to me. You're only competing against yourself. When you wake up, do you start something, and then do you finish what you started? And if you do that every day, you're an artist. Picasso said the same thing. It's a very simple discipline, but that is all you ever need to do as an artist. And I just think that's so inspiring. If anyone is inspired by that and wants to come up and give like a 20-second explanation of how they found that inspiring or how it might motivate them, please come up. Anyone? Anyone? All right. Well then, I am going to ask Matthew to come up and explain to us about
something sort of different.
Yeah, we're just going to do a quick thing. Matt is doing a panel on Taylor Swift tomorrow. He'll tell you what room and what time. And I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but I highly admire and respect how she created her Taylor's versions and what that meant for the music biz. So.
Yeah, very quick. So tomorrow, 3 p.m. right here. Check it out. So the Taylor's versions, basically, long story short, she lost control of the recordings of her own music that she worked so hard on, poured herself so much into. So she decided, I'm just going to record them myself. And the studio and the band, and her voice is more mature, it's a little different. It really is, in a way, the hero's journey of going out, facing challenges, facing trials, and coming back to her community and offering to her community, because what it means now is, on the one hand, it's a precedent to say, okay, if you're gonna kind of screw me over, studios or music labels, I can just go do it myself. And it's more complicated for maybe smaller artists, but now they have to have in the.
It's simple. I'll explain that.
Yeah, it's okay, or it's simple, but to say the contracts, there's a pressure on the contracts to say they can negotiate 50-50 and having things secured. And so at least there's a pressure on the industry, on the big ups on the industry. And so she's, reformed that in a wide way.
Yeah. Well,
what she did was, basically, if you get a song played on the radio, 50% goes to whoever paid for the recording, which is usually the label, and 50% goes to the songwriter or songwriters. So all her play that she would have been getting, and she would only be getting 50% of that. And probably she would have to sometimes share with other songwriters, because sometimes she collaborated. So, because the record company paid for her to make those in the studio time. But because she owns the songwriting, the intellectual property, she realized, I could just go re-record those songs. I pay for the recording. I own the songwriting, so they can't stop me. And so whenever those get played on the radio or anywhere, she gets 100%. And it's something I'm actually considering doing myself as an artist who has some stuff on a label, but I'll probably cut that out of this doc and put it online.
Sure.
Yeah, and I'm really inspired by that. And she has changed the industry, because now labels are scared of that, and they're making artists sign contracts that say they can't re-record their own intellectual property, which is fundamentally wrong in my opinion, but we'll see how that goes. I do want to read a Peter Jackson quote to quickly switch it to that. Any Lord of the Rings fans in here? So pretty much almost everyone. George Lucas famously said Star Wars was part Lord of the Rings at one point, and it was part Dune, and it was part Flash Gordon, and the Kurosawa movies, the one with the princess, I forget that one.
Okay.
The blah 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 blah. It was the one with the princess and the two goofy guys who he modeled the droids after. Hidden Fortress. Thank you, Kareem. Yeah. All right. You just earned a bonus. Peter Jackson. As a filmmaker, my gratitude and respect for George Lucas is without limit. In the decades following Star Wars, George has used his own resources to develop digital effects, digital editing, digital sound, and digital cinematography. He opened the door for me to make the films I have in a way I could have barely dreamt of doing before Star Wars. I don't know if people know this, but Edit Droid and Sound Droid were the world's first film and sound digital editors that he was developing in the 80s. So, I don't know, George Lucas is like the Leonardo da Vinci of art, I think, in general. Next, I want to show you a little clip of my friend. He's a filmmaker, and he's going to be doing a music video for F-105 soon. And he was really influenced by George Lucas's used universe and sort of textured feel, like Ridley Scott was. Like the first Alien was very lived-in, used universe, and Ridley says, he actually quote says, I could never shake it off, that used universe feel. He even got into space movies right after he saw A New Hope, because he was like, George is doing what I want to do. And so let's just watch a quick, this is called Mindgait by my friend James Rasile. And there it is. It's about, I think we have.
Hey everyone, I'm James from the Rebels Podcast and indie filmmaker, talking a little bit about George Lucas today and his DIY approach to filmmaking. Above everything else, I am an independent filmmaker. I went to school many, many moons ago and I shot on film back then, but film is very expensive and you can't do it. And without George Lucas, I don't know if I would be making films to this day. He pioneered digital filmmaking. I remember when it was happening, as it was happening, talking to film professors about it and hearing, how important it was. Digital filmmaking makes it plausible for everybody with any, like what I'm doing right now. This wouldn't be happening probably without George Lucas. And not only that, don't be afraid to create worlds that are used. They don't have to all look shiny and pretty. You have to work within your budget. And if that means making a universe that is old and rustic, then you make a universe that's old and rustic. You do what you can with the means you have, and you push it to the limit.
Rise and shine. Mind reader?
They weren't mind readers.
You mind telling me who you are? All right. I'll go first. My name is Finks.
Yeah, it's hard to see without context of what his whole story is about, but what I really liked about his work is how visually he made it very tonally compelling. And the dynamic contrast is really high up on that TV, so you can't see the grainy, sort of used feel that he had in it, but when we upload this panel to YouTube, we'll have the clip. And if you don't have those silly dynamic contrast settings on your TV or your computer, it will look good. So now we're going to do what I've been really looking forward to. This is the sort of the second last show of my summer tour. I went from LA all the way up to the West Coast, to Victoria, and then to Hamilton for a show, and then back to Toronto for this. And we're going to AJ, my wonderful keyboard player in F-105. And I mean that. It's not like fake flattery. I was always hoping to find someone who could do like Ray Manzarek level stuff. So let's hear it for AJ. We're going to do something we've never done before, which is to play in sync to a music video I made, which was directly inspired by George Lucas. I am also a visual artist, so I took art from my whole career and what I thought would represent the music video and to make a story from that. But I wanted to push the boundaries like Lucas. Lucas always said, art is technology.
Art is technology.
Technology helps you tell the same stories in a new way, and the new way activates people's brains to be interested. There's a biological reason for that. When you see something new, like that shouldn't be there, your mind wakes up. Like a bear in the middle of the road, your mind will wake up. Art is actually like a bear in the middle of the road. There should be. Should be something in it that makes someone's mind go, ooh. So for me, that happened to me when I was watching a Star Wars AI video about A New Hope trailer, like it was made in the 30s. And then the guy put up, I gotta be quick, 10 more seconds, Ding, 10 more seconds. I just realized he put up this thing of how to do it and how to use AI, so I befriend, hi AI, how you doing? I'd like to collaborate with you. Can you make this artwork move? And I was so blown away by how it made my art move. It just brought it to life. So collaboratively, like what they're doing in Star Wars when they make a young Luke, they have an AI artist, they have a CGI artist, they have Mark Hamill on set, and they have AI helping. And through all these different levels of human collaboration with AI, the product is great. So I don't like AI if you just go, AI, make me this. But if you collaborate with AI I think that's the future, and that's what's exciting. So I made this collaborative video we're going to play along to now. And in the FanExpo description, they did say a truly fresh and new video. So I will humbly take that.
Oh, don't you hate when the strap gets all weird like that? It's like backwards. Oh, there we go. I got it. I got it. Okay. Keep them.
It's so much better just playing with the band. I like the freedom of live bands. It's something you don't see people do anymore. you go to live shows and someone gets on stage with a phone and they're basically doing their own karaoke. But I digress. I would like to invite people up at this point to say if they just hate the fact that I used AI, they can say it, or if they loved it, or they think it didn't work, or it did work. I would love to hear any sort of response. Does anyone have one?
AI look great.
You gentlemen in the Vader shirt, please come up and say it in the mic so everyone can hear you.
Well, it's just one sentence. It didn't bother me that.
Oh, I want you up in the. If you're gonna praise it, I need you on the microphone so everyone can hear it.
Official sworn testimony.
Let's hear it for Dave. Dave is also a musician.
Yeah, it didn't bother me at all that AI put motion into the art. There were some really interesting transitions there too and stuff.
Yeah, it was. Can I use that mic for a second?
What I found cool was sometimes I would direct it, like the couple when I say when you cried on my chest. That one I directed it. Can you make her head move to his chest, crying? And it did. But sometimes I would just say, do what you want, and like the John and Yoko on the bed thing, and it turned the robot, and it did all this crazy stuff, and I was like, wow, it was so mind-blowing to collaborate like that. Would you be offended, like would you find it a problem if it was completely AI and it wasn't based on my own art?
Only if you were claiming it was your own art.
Right. Okay. Cool. Thanks, Dave. Let's hear it for Dave. And thank you for coming by.
We're trying to make a panel that is more like a kind of fun variety show, not just up here talking a lot. So that's why I have to keep looking on the thing to see what's next. And if we have time, we have 2 minutes. So we only have
2 minutes, so I want to thank everyone for coming out. And it really means a lot to me to see some people actually in my panel. As still an unknown artist, with some small amount of Star Wars fans around the world. And humbly appreciative of that. Jody is playing with me tomorrow with F-105 tomorrow night at Lola, Kensington Market.
8 p.m. at Lola's Kensington Market?
Yeah. Jody in the Friend Zone.
I do nerdy songs and inappropriate NFCW songs too.
Kareem, where can people find you?
Sure, so I'm on Instagram at Kareem's Dreams, and I'm also right here all weekend.
I know Kareem is dressed as Bodhi Rook. People that don't know it, I want to end on a political note in the spirit of George Lucas, because this was a fun panel. Riz Ahmed, who played Brody Rook on his way to Chicago, was held up and didn't get his flight because they were interrogating him for being Muslim. And that really pisses me off, because Star Wars is about standing up to empires that are taking advantage of people. So we were going to mention, just to compare Taylor Swift and George Lucas. I compare Taylor to like Paul McCartney level songwriting. I'm more of a John Lennon guy, but she's got like the storytelling chops and the melodies of like a Paul McCartney. So I just don't want anything to come across as negative. But where George would be like Anakin in Revenge of the Sith basically paraphrases W. Bush at the time, who said, "You're either for us or you're with the terrorists." And Anakin says, "You're either with me or you're my enemy." And it's important to remember for me that why George Lucas could do that. Whether I may not agree with his politics, but what was important to me is that as an artist, he didn't have to answer to 20th Century Fox or anyone if he wanted to paraphrase W. Bush or name someone after Newt Gingrich or Halliburton Company. So as an artist, I've always, I know that, Kareem, you found out that a group of Swiftie fans?
Yes, so for all the praise that she receives, I don't think she's free to speak her mind, and many of her fans do not think she's free to speak her mind. So there's a group of Taylor Swift fans called Swifties for Palestine that are begging her to use her platform to be the role model she claims to be and speak up for the humanity that exists outside of her studio So Swifties for Palestine exists because she cannot speak her mind, whatever it is. So independence, creative control, freedom, not there.
We got to get out of this room. And I'm a free artist, so I will say free Palestine. And thank you. That's what Jedi and that's what the rebels would say. Thank you, everyone. And hope to see you tomorrow night at Lola's in Kensington Market.